The Talking Stories interactive programs used in many schools around the country have shown improvements of up to 71% in reading scores of grade 1 learners over a period of 2 school terms. Kathy McCabe, Director of Radical Learning, joins me from Cape Town to discuss the importance of technology in education. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jackie. Thank you very much.
Kathy, take us through the concept of radical learning.
Well, Radical Learning is a small company and we are here to serve the needs of schools, primarily in the area of technology. So more and more schools are getting technology, whether that be computers in the classroom or computer labs or interactive whiteboards. And our role is one of training teachers to use that technology effectively and how to use the technology to teach the curriculum in a better way, to use resources that are available on the internet. And also what we do is we try to provide some of those resources that are especially suited to the needs of our schools here in Africa and at the moment in South Africa. How can we develop resources that reflect where children are, the environment that they live in, and that meet them at their point of learning and take that learning further?
Kathy, you've developed software that's called Talking Stories. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, Talking Stories is exactly that. Kids love stories and kids love technology. So how can we use the technology to help the children learn to read better? Many children do not have a culture of reading in the home. Many schools don't send reading books home because they're afraid of the books getting damaged, especially in areas of poverty and where we have underprivileged schools. So kids are not getting that early exposure to reading. They're not learning that text moves from left to right and top to bottom on a page. They're not learning that pictures carry meaning. They're not learning that this is the most fun and wonderful thing to discover is reading and stories and that whole new world that literature can open up to us. So with the Talking Stories software, we want to make it possible for children to be able to access stories, to hear those stories read to them, moreover read to them in their home language, and that the text is highlighted, almost karaoke style, that they can point with their finger on the screen and follow the text, that they can hear it read to them time and again, that they can hear it read first in their home language and then in the medium of instruction in their school, so that they are moving. This is a bridge from home language to language of instruction, which is so very important, especially next year, that English as an additional language will be compulsory in all primary schools. So now we really do need to use technology to help us bridge that gap from children's home language to the language of instruction in the schools. And we also need to bridge that gap that we do not have books readily available in children's homes. So how can we use this wonderful technology that is now appearing in our schools to help children learn to read and learn to love reading?
Kathy, you were just talking about disadvantaged schools. Have you found a challenge that the technology is not available? There's no computers within these schools. And how do you tackle that?
Well, increasingly the technology is available in disadvantaged schools. Here in the Western Cape, for example, something like 90% of the Western Cape Education Department schools now have computer facilities provided by the Kanya project of the Western Cape. And more, this technology is becoming available everywhere. So, for example, at Education Week that's coming up from the 28th to the 30th of September in Joburg, there is a brand new technology stream where teachers can go and learn about using technology in their schools. And more, we're finding computers everywhere. And of course it must be that way because technology is part of our life. And let's not forget that technology isn't just limited to computers in the classroom. Almost 100% of the population of South Africa have access to cell phones. And cell phone technology is now available even in the most rural parts of the continent. So how can we get children, for example, to be able to access these stories through their cell phone? Well, we've done a trial version. We found that we can do it. We can have that highlighted text. Kids can listen through little headphones, and they can see the story, they can see the text, they can see the pictures, and they can even do the little interactive activities that we've developed to cover every single assessment standard of the home language curriculum. So we feel that actually the technology is there. We just need to meet the demand, and if it's cell phones, well, let us provide for that cell phone technology that's available. If it's computers in schools, which it increasingly is, well, let us do that as best we can. And more companies are trying to meet that need. And I'm working in partnership with one of the biggest publishers in South Africa, Macmillan, who are in fact working very hard to use technology in schools on the increasing number of computers that are available, even in the most disadvantaged areas.
Could this be a requirement for all schools? What is your penetration in terms of percentage of rollout within South Africa at the moment?
Well, at the moment we are based primarily in the Western Cape. Here the Kanya project is providing technology in all schools. There are about 1,000 primary schools, and so far we have the talking stories in about 200 of those. So it's early days for us. We also have provided the talking stories to schools in Gauteng, a few in KwaZulu-Natal, and into quite a lot of libraries in the Eastern Cape. But we are very much at the point now where we have proved ourselves, and suddenly we're finding that the sales are increasing. So we're very much looking forward to taking this even beyond the borders of South Africa. We've had some interest from the Ministry of Education in Rwanda, for instance. Now, in Rwanda, they are bringing technology into the country at an amazing pace. I haven't seen anything like it anywhere else on the continent. And so those schools there, where they've shifted the national language from French to English, those school teachers themselves need to learn to speak and read and write English. And so the education department there is interested in using the talking stories to help their teachers to come to grips with the language. So even in adult education, the talking stories are attractive, that people like to hear the stories and to be able to do some of the activities interactively and to print the printable worksheets and even follow the teacher's guides so that they can learn a little bit more about how they can prepare lessons as teachers. In fact, in South Africa, here in the Western Cape, I'm approached regularly by high schools who are saying our kids are coming up to high school unable to read. We really need some remedial help, and technology is the way, because we cannot put a teacher aside to help these kids. We need these kids to be able to access the work, the talking stories on their own.
Kathy.
And the wonderful thing about talking stories is all the instructions are sound-based. If a child
Kathy,
can
we're going to
drag
have
and
to
drop,
leave it there, I'm afraid.
everything else comes to them.
So Kathy McCabe from Cape Town, thank you so much for your insights.
It's been lovely to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, after the break, it's smartphones, a 3D camera, and a new way of socializing. See you after this.